David and Mark here for the Kaha update. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Great. We might get started again. Tyrone, we're good to go. If we're great. Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, there are doors to do that outside. Yeah.
Are we live?
Okay, great. So, how do you guys want to do this? David or Mark, do you want to... David, thanks for joining us.
Yep. Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you. There's a report in front of you which provides a summary for the appropriate quarter, and it's relatively brief. I don't propose to read through it. I'm happy to take questions on it, and perhaps I'll just provide you with a brief verbal update on a few other matters to sort of get it in perspective with respect to timing. So currently, I guess the most important things for the council to understand are that the project is running well. We are at the moment slightly ahead of program on the base construction works, and we are on budget. We don't have any concerns presently with respect to the overall budget for the project or for the program. We're at the point now where there is vertical concrete being poured, as well as concrete for the footings and ground floor level. So that's more recently a great milestone, and you can now see if you drive past the site, some apart from steel columns, you can see some concrete wrapping around some of those columns as you go past. I guess one area of interest which may have caught attention of councillors is that a couple of weeks ago, one of the subcontractors to B6 Watpac being our design and build contractor, one of their subcontractors was put into liquidation. It's a company called Benmax, and they provide or were to provide the ventilation and air conditioning facilities for the project. I guess the first thing to note, most importantly, is that they are a subcontractor to B6 Watpac, so they're not someone that we have a contractual relationship with, and any pricing or program risk as a consequence of a subcontractor failing sits with the contractor. Having said that, we're in frequent communication with our contractor to review what their process is with respect to recovery of that situation. So we're in the fortunate position, to the extent that you can be fortunate when a company goes into liquidation, of them being a design and build contractor and 90% of the design having been completed, with the balance of the design to be completed just review and assurance. And that's been completed by the Australian parent of Benmax, who is not in liquidation. So the contractor's now got three choices. They can go back to the market for a design build package. They can take the design which they own and go back to the market for just a build package, or they can try and reconstruct something with Benmax Australia. They are confident that they'll get somebody who can fill that gap that's been created. The other, I guess, important or interesting thing you might find of note is that the project team visited Auckland a few weeks ago and spent some time with the CRL project people. They gave us a very good presentation on health and safety and a very good presentation on sustainability, both of which were very informative and supportive of the things that we're doing in those areas. And we then had a site visit to Mangawhao, which is one of their underground tunnel sites. So it was a very informative visit. We have a board meeting next week, and we're taking the board for a site visit, and we're having a presentation from B6 Watpac to the board about health and safety, sustainability, and also about their temporary works program of how they're building it. So I guess the only thing additional to what I've just said that I would add is that our relationship with B6 Watpac, who are our design build contractors, remains very positive. We have a good, open, transparent working relationship with them, and are very comfortable with where the project is at presently. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, David. Mark, did you want to add anything, or you're okay? Cool. Okay, fantastic. I mean, Leah and I were just talking, it's always good when you come in and say you're ahead of time and on budget or below budget, was it?
Low budget.
Yeah.
On budget.
On budget. Yeah. So that's keep that up. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah's got a So Phil's happy to move it, but Sarah's got a question.
Yeah,
Yep.
thanks for that. And sort of following on from that, I guess, maybe a little bit ahead of time on budget. But our capital performance report puts you at 177% forecast for end of year. So you're spending more quickly, and what's driving that?
We're in the process of providing updated cash flow forecasts to council so that they can integrate that into their planning. There has been some difference in actual spend versus forecast spend because of the purchase of materials off-site and some pre-commitments to some of the materials which are being, I guess the spending on that in order to create certainty around those items has been brought forward.
Okay, thanks.
Mark may have something else to add to that. Mark, have you got anything else?
No, I think you've summarised it there. We were very keen on getting a lump sum out of B6 WAPAC, and in order to do that, they've gone back to back with our conditions with them that it's a lump sum, and their subcontractors and suppliers are pre-purchasing those materials just so that they reduce the risk to themselves.
And as Mark said, that we have asked for an updated cash flow because what that may have an impact on our annual plan in regards to bringing forward some of our council funding. So overall, the budget's on time, but bringing forward the timing. So we will be giving you an update on that.
Yep. And we're still anticipating the money from the government continuing through until the end of this calendar year.
Yanni.
Thank you. Just had 3 questions. One was I was just quite interested in the use of Ben Max, and I think when we initially signed off on the project, one of the desires was to use as many local companies as possible, and I guess that's why I was quite puzzled as to why we'd be using an Australian company. Appreciate that they're subcontracted, but are we able to get a sense of who we're using that's actually local to New Zealand, not a sort of company that's come from Australia, set up a office in Christchurch and then sort of being classified as local, but actually in real terms what the local companies, contractors, subcontractors are that have been employed versus the ones that are coming in offshore?
Yeah, yes, Councillor, we can come back to, I haven't got that information at my fingertips, but we can come back to you. And B6 WAPAC, it's one of the metrics that they are measuring and report to us on a monthly basis, the percentage of local workers and local companies. So it's one of their sustainability measures that we do track. So we can come back to you with that detail.
Okay. And would Ben Max be classified as a local company, or
I'm not
okay.
Yeah,
sure.
David, don't worry too much. I think you.
Second question is in terms of the detailed design, which is due for completion quite soon, I imagine. But there was, we had the 185 empty chairs artwork that's obviously been removed in the city. But one of the suggestions was that, is there a possibility of incorporating the 185 white chairs into the new stadium? And I mean, I have a lot of sympathy with that, but obviously I'm not an expert in terms of design. Have you had any discussions with the artist, or is there anything that we could help facilitate to at least explore what was possible and what would be the best way of doing that?
Yeah, look, there has been a preliminary discussion between the artist and the council. I'm not sure where that conversation has got to, but it's still something that we can think about.
Right. Do you need a
so I think, David, you'll take that offline and if there's anything you can feedback, you will.
Okay.
So
and
good point.
Yeah,
Third
and
question.
the final question was, I'm still sort of struggling to kind of understand what the external opportunities are for fundraising and who's sort of leading that, where we've got to with the regional rate or regional contributions. Is there any update that we can have in regards to that? Because obviously that's a pretty critical thing in terms of budget.
So
Yes,
David, if you just hold for a sec, because I'm just
So
looking
I
at
can
Mary to
answer
say.
something about the regional rates, and Leah can probably add to it. Is so that we have had some discussions with the mayoral forum, and again followed up with those recently about presenting to the mayoral forum first via the CEs and then on to the mayoral forum. As you know, the regional rate is an OPEX rate, and so we're needing to get some certainty and clarity from VO about their operational, what they're expecting as their operational costs per year, and that's where Leah, as a liaison with the companies, is working closely with VO around that.
Just wait.
Yeah, so we are working with venues on that, but it will also feed as part of the LTP discussions in the next few months in regards to that.
I just thought the resolution that we passed, and I think Jake might have put it, I thought we asked for a capital contribution consideration as well.
So we did, you remember we had a number of meetings with the TAs, both at a mayoral level and with the CEs, where there wasn't an appetite for capital. So OPEX was the thing that we get traction for. However, we can, when we are discussing that, we can approach them for CapEx again. We will need to formally go to councils with that, and so they can build it into their LTPs and annual plan.
Yeah. I wonder whether, so valid points, and thanks, Mary, for the response. I wonder whether we could just, as an action, David, out of it, is just to look at the resolution, and if there's anything we can report back, that would close out the query. So that'd be really useful. Great. Okay. Phil's happy to move this. Mark's happy to second it. Is there any discussion? All in favour? Against? That's carried. Great. Hey, thanks very much, David, and thank you, Mark. Yeah.
Thank you. Kia ora.
Great. Christchurch